Be here with you guys today. Man, Stephanie White. Rumor has it her arms are somewhere still crossed in the locker room. And if not the locker room, at the press conference, Stephanie White, right off the bat, I'm tired of looking at you with your arms crossed. I've had enough. We gave you time, and time is up. You look like you don't care. You look like you're not a leader. You look like you don't hold your team accountable. You look like somebody that will watch Kelsey Mitchell play like absolute trash the entire game, only for DeWanna Bonner to catch fire in the final 5 minutes. And then when you have another opportunity to prove yourself,
the Indiana Fever suffered a devastating defeat against the previously winless Connecticut Sun, raising serious questions about head coach Stephanie White's leadership approach and tactical decisions throughout the contest. Throughout the game, White maintained what appeared to be a disengaged posture, frequently crossing her arms and displaying limited emotional investment in the proceedings. This detached demeanor contrasted sharply with expectations for a head coach facing critical moments in the season.
In a late game situation, you fold. Great job, Stephanie White. Can we get a round of applause for Stephanie White? Can we please get a round of applause for Stephanie White? We lost to the Connecticut Sun, folks. The 0-5 Connecticut Sun. Marina Mabrey and Tina Charles. I dare you to name 3 players on the Connecticut Sun other than those 2. Go ahead, I'll wait. And there it is. Stephanie White facing her old team. You would think that this is your old team. You would definitely want to make sure that your team is ready to play. But rumor has it, thanks to Lexi Hull, you don't even watch film after the Washington Mystics game. So we wonder why a lot of the terrible defense that we saw in the Mystics game is a lot of the terrible defense we saw in tonight's game. Folks, don't let those last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter fool you. This game was awful. This game was a hard watch.
The visual presentation suggested a lack of urgency and accountability that extended beyond mere sideline presence. White's positioning, alternating between crossed arms, hands on hips, and chin-stroking gestures, conveyed an image inconsistent with active leadership during crucial game situations. Multiple tactical missteps plagued the Fever's performance against Connecticut. The defeat becomes particularly troubling considering the Sun entered the matchup with an 0-5 record, led primarily by Marina Mabrey and Tina Charles, while other roster members remained relatively anonymous.
Aaliyah Boston started off hot. Aaliyah Boston gets into foul trouble. Stephanie White leaves her in. She gets into even more foul trouble. We don't see her for the rest of the second half. Sydney Colson goes down. Goodness, Sydney Colson stays down. We don't see her on the bench for the rest of the game. She's in the locker room. I hope Sydney Colson's okay. Later in the game, Sophie Cunningham, she goes down. I hope Sophie Cunningham's okay. But Stephanie White put on an absolute masterclass on how not to coach. Now you know.
White's connection to Connecticut as her former team should have provided strategic advantages, yet the preparation appeared inadequate. Reports suggest film study was neglected following the previous Washington Mystics contest, potentially explaining defensive lapses that carried over into this encounter. Aaliyah Boston began the game effectively, establishing interior presence and neutralizing Tina Charles in early possessions. However, foul trouble derailed her impact and White's adjustments proved insufficient. Boston accumulated excessive fouls while remaining on the court, eventually limiting her availability for crucial second-half minutes. The coaching staff failed to implement protective schemes for Boston when foul concerns mounted. Instead of tactical adjustments to minimize vulnerable positioning, the approach remained static, ultimately reducing Boston's playing time to just 26 minutes despite her efficient 8 of 10 shooting performance.
Stephanie White put on an absolute masterclass on how not to coach. Now you know. Why am I seeing Aaliyah Boston get the ball 23 feet out? So she needs to take dribbles, so she needs to do dribble moves to get it in the post. Why am I even seeing that? Aaliyah Boston in the first quarter literally stuffed Tina Charles underneath the basket because Aaliyah Boston's clearing out space. Where's that at, Steph? Where did the first quarter Aaliyah Boston go, and what did you do with her? I want her back.
Boston's early success stemmed from deep post positioning and clear decision-making when defenses collapsed. However, this effective approach disappeared as the game progressed, replaced by perimeter catches requiring excessive dribbling to reach scoring positions. The transformation from first-quarter efficiency to later struggles highlighted systematic failures in play calling and player deployment. Boston's natural advantages were neutralized through poor positioning and inadequate offensive structure. Michaela Onyenwar's absence from meaningful playing time raised questions about roster evaluation and development priorities, while other teams successfully integrate rookie talent, the Fever's approach appeared conservative to the point of neglecting available options. Sydney Coulson contributed positive moments before suffering an injury that removed her from action. Sophie Cunningham also experienced physical difficulties during the contest, further limiting available personnel.
What happened to first quarter Leah Boston? What did you do with her? I want her back. First quarter Leah Boston, she was getting the ball deep in the paint, already having post position, making sound decisions with the ball when the defense collapsed on her, finding you for a shot, finding you for a shot, finding you for a shot. What happened to that, Stephanie?
Despite a remarkable comeback effort that saw the team erase a 15-point deficit, critical late-game decisions undermined the Fever's chances. Trailing by 3 points with opportunities to tie, the team settled for 2-point attempts instead of pursuing 3-point conversions. Subsequent fouling strategy backfired when Saya Rivers converted only 1 free throw, providing minimal advantage. The final possession featured a designed play for Kelsey Mitchell, whose struggles throughout the game made this selection questionable. Mitchell's difficulties were evident in her 4 of 15 shooting performance, including 0 of 4 from 3-point range. Her decision-making appeared rushed, with drives into traffic against multiple defenders rather than seeking passing opportunities.
Michaela Timpson, we don't even see Michaela Timpson. I'm not going to throw a fit over that, but what else are you going to do? You want to continue to try out things? What else are we going to... You can sign me to a 15-day contract. Let me try it out. I'll put on a wig. I'll see what I can do out there for you. I really need to know what Stephanie White has shown us that makes us feel confident in this team without Caitlin Clark carrying them. Seriously, folks, this was supposed to be a new day. This was supposed to be a new dawn, a new head coach, a new era for Indiana Fever basketball, and I would much rather, yes, folks, give me Christy Sides back. Goodness gracious, I said it.
Natasha Howard managed 4 of 9 shooting for 9 points and 6 rebounds, though missed opportunities near the basket continued a concerning trend. Lexi Hull provided the most consistent contribution with 12 points on 5 of 8 shooting, representing one of the few bright spots. Dearica Hamby delivered crucial fourth-quarter production, including a fortunate bank shot 3-pointer followed by another conversion. Her efforts sparked a comeback attempt but couldn't overcome earlier deficiencies. Connecticut's offensive success highlighted defensive breakdowns that persisted from previous contests. Marina Mabrey received excellent screening action and movement opportunities, exploiting gaps in the Fever's coverage.
I would much rather see together, paint touches. I would much rather see that, because I know at least when I'm watching Chrissy Sides, I'm watching somebody that at least gives off the impression that they care. I'm watching somebody that gives off the impression that they're not happy when the team loses. There's a reason why we have the defensive slides to Chrissy Sands, the arm waving Chrissy Sides. There's a reason for all that. And all we have for Stephanie White.
The Suns' coaching staff effectively utilized Mabrey through off-ball screens and pick-and-roll situations, creating step-back shooting opportunities. This tactical approach demonstrated superior game planning compared to Indiana's defensive adjustments. The contrast between White's approach and previous coaching became apparent through emotional investment levels. While former coach Christy Sides displayed visible frustration and engagement, White's demeanor suggested detachment from game outcomes. Connecticut's utilization of Mabrey provided a template for maximizing perimeter talent through systematic movement and screening. Applied to Caitlin Clark's skill set, similar approaches could generate significantly higher offensive output.
Is our arms crossed. We have our arms crossed, and then we go hands on the hip. And then we go hands on the hip to hand on the chin. Then we go hand on the chin, back to our arms crossed. Stephanie White, I'll tell you right now, if this was the NBA and you were in New York, you're getting booed. New York radio is letting you have it. You're getting absolutely no passes for this season at all. But you're lucky. You're in a safe space here, Steph. Trust me, you're in a safe space here. Because if you were in New York...
The defeat occurred despite favorable turnover margins and even rebounding totals. However, fast break production remained minimal at just 4 points, indicating transition struggles that limit offensive diversity. Connecticut's 3-point attempt advantage, combined with effective execution, created scoring disparities that overcame other statistical categories. The Fever's approach appeared constrained and predictable throughout most possessions. Approximately 12,000 spectators witnessed the disappointing performance, with many seats remaining empty due to ticket resales. The crowd experienced excitement only during the final 3 minutes of comeback attempts, spending the majority of the contest watching frustrating basketball.
In the NBA, because New York media doesn't care about the Liberty anyway, in the end, you would get chewed out. Because this is unacceptable. An 0-5 team, folks, an 0-5 team. Caitlin Clark's MVP. Hands down, Caitlin Clark's MVP of the season. She doesn't even need to play. She can do the whole Peyton Manning. She hurt, the Colts fall all the way down, get the #1 pick. That player's MVP. He didn't even play this year, and look how bad that team is. That's Caitlin Clark.
Fan investment in the team's success contrasted with on-court execution, creating an atmosphere of missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. The building's energy reflected the gap between expectations and performance delivery. Tuesday's upcoming contest against Washington presents another challenging test for a team struggling to establish identity without Caitlin Clark. The Mystics' previous success against Indiana suggests continued difficulties ahead. White's coaching tenure requires immediate improvement to justify organizational confidence. The current trajectory, combined with visible leadership concerns, demands significant adjustments to avoid further regression.